Everybody, welcome back with the Purplatypus is the name, and welcome to another sort of Convallaria video. Today, we're talking about how to build Coco. So, there are a couple, basically, this is going to get pretty nitty gritty. I did some numbers with trials and experimenting with different items and tarots, not a million different ones, but the main ones here. But let's go over the things that I think are going to be pretty standard with a build for her. First, let's quickly go over her skills. Also, worth noting, mine is level 60. Rank 12. She is 1 star, so that is the baseline stats that I am working with. So when we look at abilities here, the ones that I think are pretty much you're always going to have, right? Her reactions stay strong. This gives her the ability to heal after she gets attacked, also heals an ally. I think also Potluck Protector is likely the best skill on her entire kit. However, I also think it's one that you may not want to use as much. It's possible. It is a passive that lets her block, and when she lets her jump in front of allies. And then when she jumps in front of allies, she has a 50% chance to block. And then when she does block, she takes decreased damage. But the most important thing is that it triggers her stay strong. So she gets hit, for other people, and then she heals herself, right? And if she's dying, she basically won't do it because she's smart and doesn't want to get herself killed. Very good ability if you want her to be a dedicated tank. If you want her to be a dedicated support unit, this is probably, healer and support. You're probably going to go on this side. I think she's a really good support unit for sure, but all of her support stuff is single target besides her ultimate here, which is a heal and a thing. But if you're trying to give someone like damage 3 and damage reduction 3, like it's good, but it only targets one thing. Her damage it's great. This ability is fucking insane. It does pretty much everything under the sun you would want. But I think as a dedicated support, for me, she doesn't quite cut it. If we're looking here at Iron Pot Stew, does a big AoE crit buff, which is insane, and a huge crit damage buff while being a healer. I think where she really shines, though, is as a dedicated tank, and healer, and then she also gets to be a healer and support unit on the side. But I think really building her for the intention of tanking is the best path for her. So I'm using Potluck Protector, I'm using Coco's Treasures Chest, and I am using Iron Pot Stew. Stay Strong is the reaction, so that always has a slot. As far as the not turning around, her signature ability, which isn't on here, it's the Try the Pan. 120% damage, knocks the target back 3 tiles, physical defense 3, speed 2, debuffs for 2 turns. This ability is fine. It is 3 energy, and I don't want to risk not being able to use Iron Pot Stew the second I need it. She doesn't have like a really easy way to recover energy for lots of people. She could do 1, and it can be targeted on herself, but it's not an instant ability. You probably want to use it on other characters. So I actually don't find Try the Pan making it pretty much ever. Even though I like the ability, maybe in Tower, if you need a character that has knockback 3, I mean, this is the only ability in the game that has passively knockback 3. You can equip this with the axe here, the Denial Hammer, and suddenly it's knockback 4, which is insane. So that is something that is really good you might want to consider. Other than that, if you are a dedicated tank and you want to completely get rid of your support ability here, which I probably wouldn't, because no, you need Snow Lotus. Snow Lotus is too good. If you wanted to get rid of something here, you could throw in maybe an extra movement, an extra block enhancement, but really this feels like kind of a solved kit to me. I can't see me wanting to change any of these abilities myself. Besides maybe like the auto attack, maybe you don't need the chance to stun. 70% chance to stun if you hit someone in the back of the head is very good. But maybe you just want the normal, debuffs anyway, just to have something if you don't have anything else on your team. So that's pretty much solved. Now let's get into quickly, let's go over characters that she pairs with. As a tank, it doesn't really matter what she goes with. Characters that I think she synergizes with particularly well is someone like Simona. Simona, who has like a really, really big, and it might seem counterproductive, but Simona has like a really big shield every turn, And so it basically makes Simona impossible to kill. Noto Will, Noto Will is another character. Noto Will has a passive reduction of like 99% AoE attacks. And so a lot of times they're going to want to kill her with single target attacks because AoE won't hurt her. Coco here will say, hey, you're not going to hurt me with those AoE attacks. I'm sorry, you're just not. You're not going to hit her with those single target attacks. You're going to hit me. So you kind of, Nono Will becomes like really, really hard to kill when you have Coco on the team. Also, the thing is, she's so good with literally everybody because she's such a generically powerful unit. But another character that is particularly good, and it might seem weird because they're both defenders, and I don't know if I run that many green boys that much. But Magnus has the Fortitude Blood and Steel Leader Zara, which is really good. Normal Leader Zara effect, but decreases the damage taken by 10% if healthy. That's a pretty noticeable thing. And you become immune to the effects of the injured state. So if you look at Fortitude, you can see that Coco here is a Fortitude unit. So getting the attack and HP in defense is good. Becoming more damage resistance is good for a tank. Also, being immune to injured is good. Also, he is a good character because he just does attack down and stuff. He's kind of a one-trick pony, but it's a pretty good trick. And Simona could be there to kind of, not Simona, sorry. Coco could be there to kind of keep giving him more energy if he needs it for his abilities. This is on a 2-turn cooldown, but needs 3 energy. So you could do this like every few turns. Maybe you just have him be an Iron Chariot machine to nuke things down while you're holding this with Cry of Victory. You know, that's possible as well. Both are pretty darn good. So that's kind of the characters I'd recommend you go with. As far as equipment, it's not really that hard to... You basically want HP. This is what I'm going with, right? 10% max HP, and I think Resonance Double Cup is exactly what you want. You could go for more damage negation, but I think at a point, you want increased healing effect because she is a healer, and she heals herself, so I like having Double Cup. And then you're just kind of going for HP, right? Increase max HP by 10% when attacking if the enemy's HP percentage is higher. Everything after this period is pretty much irrelevant, so it leads me to believe that I could probably do something better. You could go with like a cornucopia because this is the cornucopia acts is particularly synergistic because if she's healthy, she gets her energy back, which is fine. It's not that good. But if she's dying, she's going to stop defending and getting herself killed. So she's going to defend until she gets into the dying state or gets like one shot, whatever, from injured. But she's immune to injured if you have Magnus. But she's going to go into the dying state, then stop defending from other people, right? So then when her turn comes up and she's dying, she'll automatically heal a bunch. But she already heals a lot passively because of the breakfast and stuff like that. So I don't know if this is actually that good, but it is something I would consider. This Feast Axe doesn't do anything. You could use the Denial Hammer if you're using the Knockback 3. And then you could use the Hollow Axe. It just gives you more defensive stats. Maybe you don't need the HP. But I honestly think just this having HP on it makes the Brutal Axe the best item for her. The other part is not very good for her. This is a Guzman Axe, but she's better than Guzman. Her and Guzman are basically both tier 0. So right now she's going to have it. Now, the other two is where it gets interesting here. There's a lot of people talking about different things. Now, I ran some numbers. Increase unit saturation. No, here we go. Is it this one? Here we go. All right, let's look at something fun here. Let's look at something fun. Make this a little bit bigger, but not so big. How to build Coco. All right, so I ran some numbers here. Let's talk about this. This list is 4 trials in it. And each of the trials I basically controlled for the different stuff, right? So these top 2 are with the Fool Tarot. If you don't know what the Fool Tarot is because you haven't seen one, it is a Fool's Nativity. It gives you HP increased by 10% with a hidden of an additional 10%. So I don't have a min-maxed one at all. And there's not HP on this. So you can get a lot more HP than what I have. But this is something that is worth noting. The only way to get this right now that I'm aware of is if you go to... The reason I got it, actually, it was... The only reason I did this event... How do I get there? The reason I did this event is specifically was on round 1. You could get 5 of these tarots. And I used 3 of them on Nativity, 1 of them on Courage, 1 of them on whatever the fuck the other one was. I don't remember. But... So you can get those only in that event. So a lot of people aren't going to have the Fool's Tarot. But if you look at lists, I think a lot of people are going to say, oh, this is clearly the best here. So with the Fool's Tarot, here's what I was basically going with. With Fool's Tarot and armor. So when I'm saying armor, this is what I'm talking about. I'm comparing Cooling Powder, which increases your healing received and gives immunity to healing no healing received, with the flat Crystal Bust Armor, which gives you HP. Also, with comparing these, I didn't do it on purpose, but conveniently, they both have 11% max HP. This has 100 more HP, so I minus that on the other piece of paper. But they have roughly the controlled stats in terms of the engravings, which is actually kind of cool. So for this build right here, with these 2 items, this is the damage numbers and how they worked. I did it without a damage negation ability and with the damage negation ability that she has built in here with a damage 3. There's not really a point for that. I just kind of wanted to see how impactful... I wanted to control for the hermits not stacking additively, like not going from 50% to 70% reduction, but it being like, you know, multiplicative basically. And so I wanted to control for that. So without doing a skill here, without negating her damage, 3,741 damage she took. She had 8,354 HP. And so this is basically, I did 2 hits here, right? Hit on the left, hit on the right. Hit on the left is where she blocks the hit. Oh, sorry, the lower number is the one where she blocks. The higher number is where she did not block. And so you can see here, then when we use the damage negation skill here, she's taken 3,000 damage, 2,062 damage, and she is healing for 1,213 every time she gets hit. That's basically what I looked at. I wanted to look at her HP, how much damage she took, and how much healing she did. That's what we looked at. So this is the Fool with the armor. Now when we look at the Fool with the powder, the healing powder, she loses about 300 HP. But the damage is identical actually here. And the damages should be identical or really close to identical because there's no damage negation going on here. But, you know, sometimes there's like a little bit of variance. Sometimes there was like crit. So I tried to control it as best I could. These two did happen to be identical. But she healed for 1,260. So from switching from the powder to the armor, she only gained 47 more healing per hit while losing 300 HP, meaning what? So 350 HP. Let's pull out a calculator here. Boom. Let's say 350 HP divided by 47 a hit. I mean, she needs to get hit 7 times in a fight for you to have gotten basically more out of this healing than you did from just having the flat HP. I believe that's how it works out, roughly. Because in order to make this HP difference up, you need to get hit 7 times for this healing to cross the difference that this would have made here. So worth noting. Now, after running these tests, we got another one here. The other one is with the Hermit and the armor. So let's switch back here. And my Hermit is actually like min-max. This is a 20% Hermit. So again, these aren't perfect comparisons. What's this line right there? Is that on my monitor? Let's find out. It's not on my monitor. It's like, I don't know. It's kind of weird. All right, doesn't matter. So this is not min-maxed, but it is 20% damage negation. But it has no other defensive stats here, right? It has 95 HP, but like at a point, I can't control every little number. So this is what I'm talking about here. So with Hermit and the armor, you have 7,801 HP. So you are losing 200 more HP, 100 and actually only 110 more HP from losing the Fool. So actually not that much HP. And then you can see here, look, this is the important thing. Look at the damage negation. 3,033, 2,062, 2,457, 1,671. You are negating more damage in the first hit than you do from the entire HP boost you get from using the Fools. Even if you had the extra Fools and you had an extra 100 HP, that's still not going to compare to this 400 point damage reduction. And even this is also only going to get stronger as enemies get stronger and they do bigger numbers, right? So the stronger the enemies you're doing are, the more this damage negation is going to matter. And so I think that this is going to be super important. The only time that this is going to matter is if that 200, sorry, yeah, this is, I don't know how to count. This 289 HP is actually going to be enough to stop you from getting one shot, which I think is unlikely, but it's possible. So with just this right here, this damage negation, I think it's clear to me that the Hermit is significantly better than the Fools. It's not all about HP. So for me, I'm going to focus the rest on here on the Hermit with the armor and the powder. I think this is clearly the best. Now, this is where it gets interesting, and I think it's going to be up to you. So you get highlights here. Armor will give you 7,801 HP, whereas the powder is only giving you 7,420 HP. So you're losing roughly 400 HP here, and the damage is going to be identical, right? The only advantage you're getting to the cooling powder is you are getting 30, well, I'll just say 30 more healing. So you're losing 400 HP. Do you want to do it exact? Want to get the calculator right? I mean, we got this far, right? So what is that? That's 400. That's 381. I think that's 381 HP divided by, you're getting 29 more healing, right? 30, 40, 50. No, 60. I know. Listen, everyone shut the fuck up. We're doing 30 more healing plus 39 more healing. I know math, bro. Basically 40 more healing. 9, it's going to take 10 hits, basically. You got to get hit 10 times before the amount of this healing surpasses the amount of HP bonus you get with the armor. Now, I think if you're looking at this on paper, for me, I would say the armor with the Hermit is the best build for her doing tanking and healing combined. Now, I am not actually going to run that on my character for a couple reasons. One, I think that if the fight goes long, then eventually the extra healing will equate to more over the course of a fight. Because it only increases the healing you heal yourself. This doesn't increase the healing going out. And in fact, this will actually slightly decrease the healing going out because the healing going out is based on your HP. So the armor on paper, I think, is better. I don't think this healing is significant enough to make up for the amount of HP you're losing, because it's only like 39 HP. But here's the thing. The reason I think that this is not such a significant loss in power, I think it's a small loss in power because you're going to end up healing more over the course of the fight anyway. And really, this armor is really good on almost everybody in the game. And like, there's so many characters that I think you're going to want this on more than you're going to want it on Coco. I mean, there's a lot of characters with just strikebacks in general, like even with Alexi, right? Alexi really wants this armor, and it's good on her too, don't get me wrong, but she doesn't use the strikeback literally at all. So you're missing out on the second aspect of this armor. So for a min-maxed team, I don't think this is going to be what you take. I think you're going to take cooling powder on a min-maxed team. And the other main reason, the biggest reason that I'm taking cooling powder is you are immune to getting your healing removed from you. She is tanky, but she is not the tankiest character in the game if she is not healing herself super heavily every turn. PayPal fucking guard is probably a better tank than her if the healing is turned off. So I think you really want to, I think the cooling powder is going to be essential to ensure that she doesn't just randomly die in the middle of fights. So I think that cooling powder is overall better. However, if you're going for a smaller team or you don't want to use the crystal armor and you're not afraid of the healing debuff, I do think the armor is going to be better overall. You're going to get more HP. The damage is going to be identical. I mean, again, these aren't quite identical numbers. They're close, but this one was different than this one. Why? I don't know. They're numbers, you know. But the healing, yeah, is not that much different. You're not getting that much more healing from the cooling powder, surprisingly. Although, like, the amount of healing you get will obviously, her other abilities, her breakfast, her this, her that, she will top off herself easier with the 8% increase. But I do think that the armor is going to be on average better. However, that being said, I'm always using the powder. This is the build that I'm going with on my Coco. Now, if you're wondering how I actually got these numbers, what I did, let's take a look here. I did exactly, I do this a lot. I did it on stream for a while. Perfect day to do it as well. Weaponry trial. We're going to level 9 of the tarot trials. And we go in here and I use these two guys right here, right? They got 4,300 attack. They're level 65. It's easy because they're set up. They just walk forward. They hit. She blocks. They hit. She blocks. You know, she guards. And so this is good. So this is noting also, the numbers aren't the highlight here. The highlight is the difference between the gear. I am using Magnus here for the 10% buff and ignoring the injured state because I'm just trying to get, you know, basically I was trying to control for the different combinations of equipment here. So that's it. I ran the numbers, and for me, I am going to be a cooling powder hermit gamer. If you have the fool, I think that this is clearly not the best. I don't think the HP you're getting from this, even with the 20%, I honestly don't think it caps with the damage. The damage reduction is so much better in my opinion. But if you're going to be a dedicated healer and only take a couple hits, maybe you could probably get away with just being a better healer, because it is scaled off your HP. And again, like most of these other ones, you can see I bought a couple of these because I wanted to try to find the 20% HP, but there's just no more in the game. Otherwise I would have done it. But yeah, I think Hermit's just the way to go. I think her job is to stay alive, keep everyone else alive, and buff people. The Hermit's the way to do that. And I could even min-max this more, right? There's no stats here that are actually what she wants. You know, you can actually put some defense stats. That way she could actually tank things a little bit better as well. But yeah, that's it. This is my, sorry. This is my Coco. This is what I've decided to do for lots of reasons. And I do really think the resonance is the best. You care about your healing. You care about the healing received. 10% is a pretty big buff. Again, it's only going to be maybe a couple hundred. The damage negation in this case, if you're fighting a really hard fight, I do think you have the opportunity to switch if you have cheap stuff on, switch it to a physical or a magic damage negation. That way she could just tank even better. But I think this is a point where I really care about her ability to heal others, because we're already sacrificing that a little bit for the cooling powder as opposed to the maximum possible HP. So I mean, this is my build. This is the build I'm going with, and I'm sticking to it. Anyway, that's all for today, guys. Thank you very much. Purplatypus is Purplatypus. I'll see you on the flip-flops. Bye!
Platypus on the rise, watch the views go.